Hey guys, it's Shane back with another Vicken video. Yeah, that's right, I've been pumping them out, and I'll keep pumping them out at least till the beginning of the new year, and then there might be a dry spell between videos. I just did a DVD VHS pickup. That one I didn't get a lot of views, which is fine. And I did a music pickups, which I got more views than I usually get. I'm not a hundreds kind of guy with views. I'm very underground, sort of. And it's not because my picks are underground. It's just that's, whatever. So I'm going to do something totally different. I don't know how this is going to go, but at this point, I'm willing to take the risk because why not? Fuck it. And this is going to be my top 10 favorite reads of the year, favorite books of the year I read. Now, there are no new books in here because I don't really like a lot of new fiction. Well, I should say I've not read a lot of new fiction. I mean, I'll read it, if it comes out, I'll read it. If the storyline kind of interests me, I just like older books. That's all. It's more a preference thing than think. I don't think newer books suck so much, but I don't know. I haven't read them. I don't really have a lot of interest in going and searching out new writers. So let's get into it. Yeah, this is a prebiotic soda I'm drinking. I'm kind of excited to do this. I've been thinking about doing this. I wanted to do it last year, and I've read a lot of books this year. I've probably read 30 or 40 books, which is a lot. And I got a few ultimate mentions I'm going to go through first and foremost, and then I'm going to go through the top 10, which I actually have in alphabetical order. I'm not going to talk a lot about these. I'm just going to kind of go through them. This first one is Matthew Shaw's Porn. Matthew Shaw wrote a series of books called Sick Bastards and Sicker Bastards and Sickest Bastards, which is kind of like a Walking Dead, if you like sort of family porn. Writes to be offensive. I've been in communication with this guy, and I'm gonna get a little bit more comfortable because I feel like I'm leaning forward too much. But oops. Yeah, I have that fan on in the background, so I had to have it on because it's hot as hell in here. So this is Matthew Shaw stuff is really he's a good writer to an extent where I'm pulling it in a little bit more. He's a good writer as far as being able to tell a story and stuff like that. But there is obviously exploitative elements in his books. I mean, he's trying to make you respond to it. I think his thing is, let's drive the nail in the coffin, fuck these people, and it to extremity, and he does that fairly well, because this could be looked at as sophomore, kind of like Matthew Stokoe's Cows. I think there's something to what Shaw's writing. Like I said, I've talked to him a few times online. He's a very, very nice guy. This is a decent read. It's about a girl who, I forget. This came out in 2014. See, none of these are newer books. I forget. This girl is in the porn industry, I think, and she's trying to leave it. And there's some revenge plot. To be honest, I don't even remember the storyline. I just remember it had some torture porn in it and that kind of shit. So I think she enacts revenge because she was gang raped, I believe. Yeah. So it's okay. It's not bad. A lot of what you're going to see today, these honorable mentions, are books that that didn't quite make the top 10, but I liked probably almost as much. So the next one Comes a Wrath. This is a fun book. John Teague's master fucking. He's a master sort of in sleaze, and he doesn't try to be. He seems like a nice guy, but it's kind of like Thomas Harris. Have you seen Thomas Harris? A photo of his, oh my god, I'm gonna turn that fan off just in case it's distracting you guys. This guy looks like just some dopey, wimpy white guy, but there is a ton of sleaze in his books, and in this one, here's ghost to human fucking in it, so I'm on board with that shit. Yeah, it's good. It's sleazy. This one's about a guy who gets mugged, and he lives in inner city Chicago. He goes out, he buys a farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere, and the house is haunted. I'll just leave it at that. So it's fun. It's sleazy. It's kind of like your typical. He writes a little bit not as wild as Richard Lehman, you know, kind of in the Ramsey Campbell, kind of Simon Clark thing. It feels British, but it's not. I don't know. Quite good, quite good. So Comes of Wrath. I enjoyed that one. Children of the Night, Dan Simmons, a vampire novel. A lot of hard science in this one. There, yeah. If you're into science and you want to mix it with horror, Dan Simmons is your guy. The guy does his research, and in this one, if I can remember right, there's a blood this infant's given a blood transfusion, and he's supposed to die, but somehow was able to live. And this lady starts taking care of this kid, and the kid gets kidnapped. And it's got a wild plot to it. It's just a world travel. You know, heroin gets in trouble by this conspiracist corporation or agency or whatever the hell organization. And to be honest, I really thought this was quite good because it's Dan Simmons trying to be like fucking John Grisham or something like that. It's really quite ridiculous in a way and good at the same time. So Children of the Night. That's another one. Let's see, I got a few left. Richard Lehman's Savage. This is fucking batshit as Richard Lehman only can be. This one is about a boy who tracks down Jack the Ripper throughout the United States. Like, he goes after Jack the Ripper, falls in love with this older woman, so there's a little bit of a, like, you know, sexual no-nos in here, and it's a lot of fun. It's kind of supposed to be, I think, more like a not swashbuckling, but sort of a adventure to America. But then it's Richard Lehman, so you never know. He's got so many twists and turns in his stories. He's absolutely batshit, and I went along for the ride in this one, and I was glad I did. So another goodie from Richard Lehman, Savage. I mean, every time I read a book of his, it's like I distinctly remember reading it because it's so memorable. Because I don't think he writes with any kind of guideline, you know. I think that's what makes him batshit, you know. It's hot in here, so I apologize for that. Come Closer. I almost put this in my top 10. Very close to putting this in my top 10, Sarah Gran. Now, some people really like this, and some people do not. And some people don't think anything happens in this, and some people think this is a great book. It's a demonic possession book where this lady is being possessed by a demon that she sees in her dreams. And she does some fucking wild stuff. She's like married, she's got an office job, and she just starts doing some batshit stuff. Starts sleeping with people, and of course it leads to homicide. It's fucking wild. This is good fun. And the writer, what I like about this, Sarah Gran. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a little bit more comfortable. What I like about this is Sarah Gran writes both the demon. She writes with a sense of exuberance, like she's sort of fascinated by this demon. She's compelled by it, but at the same time, she gives some sympathy to the poor lady who's being possessed. So this is a fun read. I just think it's a page turner thing. There's some definitely unexpected stuff that happens. When she's stealing, it's hilarious in it. Like, her impulsive behavior is like fucking funny in this. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, kind of a nice spin on demonic possession in a way. So Come Closer. Might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it is my cup of tea. I thought I had one more. Where is the other one now? Hold on, guys. I'm gonna have to pause this. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm so discombobulated with this, and I had it all organized and everything. So my apologies. And the last of the honorable mentions, whatever, Michel Houellebecq. Now, he's a French writer, really kind of took the literary world by storm in the early 2000s. and this is his first novel. I was looking for it because I have it and I can't find it. The Elementary Particles, which I really enjoyed, and that would have been in my top 10, but I can't find it. So by default, that and Kath Koja's Cipher, which I'll mention briefly, are not going to be in my top 10, only because I can't find the books. I actually want to show you the books. So I should say favorite reads of books I have in front of me. Really. And this one is about a guy who, he is, he's got a job and he smokes a lot and he gets very depressed. And one of his friends, I think, kills himself. He's a civil servant. Lots of really good wry fucking humor in Houellebecq's books. And Houellebecq is Houellebecq. Lots of good black humor in his books. Lots of pathos too towards human suffering, mostly in the loneliness category, and that like some people are just fucking doomed. They're cursed, and I can relate to that. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But anyways, this is his first book. Elementary Particles to me is better, and that would have been in my top 10, but I don't have it. So whatever, Michel Houellebecq. All right, let's get into the top 10, guys. I have a dash full of books here, right here. And these are going to be in my top 10. This book was lauded by Billy Corgan as being a masterpiece. And it's a fun book, and it's definitely memorable. And I believe this writer's story and all that got pushed into a movie. I think Laura, what's her name? Laura Dern's in. And it's a crazy, the movie's crazy too, but this is J.T. Leroy's Sarah. So this came out in the early 2000s, was all the rage, and basically I think J.T. Leroy was like a pseudonym, and the person who wrote this was really, really depressed, and her psychiatrist or therapist told her to keep writing, hence the results of Sarah. Very memorable, like the characters and the way she draws this up. It's very memorable. Like you just can't. It's hard to, because it's such a uniquely different take on writing in a way. Because it's very like it's not flippant at all. It's very playful and in very sarcastic in a way. But it's not on that same level as like a John Irving or even like a Tom Robbins. But there's like such a zest, a joy for writing these characters. Like the writer must have been really just addicted to whatever, and addicted to writing in a way. And as a result, you have this wonderful story. And so this is about this kid and his relationship with his mother. That's the crux of the story, and him trying to find love and fulfillment. And he's what's called a lot lizard, which is like he's a truck stop prostitute, and he dresses like a girl, and he's hot shit. He becomes the hottest lot lizard on the block, and then falls from grace, sort of thing. There's a fall from grace. This is a fun book. It's definitely memorable. It kind of was making me think of, not in the same storyline, but it was kind of making me think of Geek Love, but I don't think it's as good as Geek Love. But this is a damn fine read by J.T. Leroy. A damn fine, really, I mean, ultra despair in a way, that this kid's looking for love in a way. It's almost like, in a way, it's almost like Pinocchio, in a way, where the kid goes out and looks for, like he's looking for adventure, but he's also looking to be accepted, and he doesn't realize that Geppetto has accepted him. And then there's that reunion. In this one, it's his pimp that kind of gives him, in a way, unconditional love. And it's really, in a way, it's kind of a nice story. And there's some really growth in the character, because by the end of the story, he idolizes his mom, and but he understands that she is who she is, and she's gone. So it's actually kind of cool. The Doll Who Ate His Mother, Ramsey Campbell. This is at number 9. 9, 9, 9. No? Hold on. Okay, this is tied for 10. We're going to tie this for 10. This is the 10th tie. The Doll Who Ate His Mother. Sorry. Ramsey Campbell's first book, British horror writer. This is absolutely fucking wild. Look no further than this one to be, I think, his finest hour. Just my opinion. This is just like he is a good horror writer. This one's about a serial killer who is just absolutely loathsome and evil as fuck, and very interesting. The serial killer is, and he's interesting from when he was a kid to when he becomes an adult, and it talks a lot about him being in this orphanage and the stuff he does. And there's some detailed scenes in here of his birth, and it's fucked up. I'll just say that. But yeah, I think it gets a little like the plot. I won't tell you guys the endings of these things, but the plot becomes a little like, oh, come on, you're not doing that. Like that kind of thing. But if you're a stickler for plots, then this isn't going to work for you. But this is a damn fine read. The Doll Who Ate His Mother, Ramsey Campbell, tied at number 10 with Sarah. I overcounted books, so I'm tying these two. My brother's got to come out in a minute, so he's going to walk by. Next up in this, I wasn't going to put my top 10, but fuck it, I did anyways, just because this had an impact on me when I was reading it. And I was undeniable, and I wasn't going to leave it out. Now, I don't completely agree with it, like the storyline in this and shit, but this is fucking awesome. Dennis Cooper's Frisk. Yeah, this is considered transgressive fiction. And there's people online that will do transgressive stuff, like really fucked up extreme stuff, and then they'll like be like haunted by it, or they'll be like, oh, that's so offensive and disgusting. Well, I'm championing this stuff because I like reading this shit, so I'm not gonna back away and be like, oh, and go the moral high ground. You either have a stomach for the shit or you don't. And I was reading this, I was like, what the fuck? Because I've read a lot of extreme books, but this one is pretty goddamn extreme. It's about this kid who ends up, he thinks he's a serial killer, but he's all built it up in his mind. I'll just leave it at that. But is he a killer? Is he not a killer? Something I find kind of exhausting. I actually really, really appreciate in this because, well, I find this kind of exhausting in this, I should say, but I find like everything else I really appreciate in this book. And this guy was compared to Robert what's his name? Easton Ellis? Is it Easton Ellis, Brian?
Bret Easton Ellis.
Bret Easton Ellis. I can't even think of his name. Just thinking of the therapist, Robert Ellis. So, yeah. So this has got some great, like, fucking, like, hardcore homosexual stuff in this. And if you're easily offended by that, then this book is not for you, my friend. Now, I was reading this and I was like thinking, I'm like, this is, this would beat the homophobe out of anybody because it's so graphic. The sex in this between boys is really fucking graphic. And I think that's not as graphic as you would think, but it's just, this is like free sex, like sex in this world. And I think maybe it's graphic to me because I haven't read books like this. And boy, oh boy, I enjoyed the fuck out of this one. Like, I could not believe what I was reading. Yeah, he wrote a book called The Sluts, and I think it's similar, where it's got like fucking lots of like gay prostitutes in there and shit like that. I mean, if they write it in a way where it's like gonna be like it's trying to be extreme, I don't give a shit like what the sexuality is. I'm gonna fucking dig it. And I did dig this. This took me back for a minute. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I was like, this is awesome. So, Frisk. Yeah, I won't tell you much about, I mean, the storyline's not all that important, but it does have the lead character. Is he a serial killer? Is he not? Is it all in his head? Like, that kind of thing. And it's absolutely fantastic. Dennis Cooper. All right, number eight. Another John Teague's book. Really appreciated this one, Upon the Altar. And this one is good old Satanism, which is what he writes. And this one is fantastic. This one is this girl gets wooed away to this mysterious island by her therapist, of all people, who's involved in a satanic cult. And the bottom line is this: they get her pregnant because they think she could be like she'll be the one prophecy or whatever. She's going to deliver Satan's son, and the baby goes away, or the baby gets born. I shouldn't say the baby goes away. The baby does get born, and then how does she deal? Does she try to escape? All that stuff in this, because she finally becomes resistant and finds out and stuff like that. Sleaze Merchant John Teague comes hard in this one. He's known for the Satanism and the cults and stuff, and this is fucking excellent. This is like one of those fun. It's one of those books you read, and when the book is done, you're like, "Fuck, man, I want to keep reading." You know, like that. It's so much fun. I had a blast with this one, and it was written sometime in the '90s. 1985. Never mind. It was written in 1985. So. John Teague's Onto the Altar. Yeah, the covers. I actually ordered this on Thrift Books. Most of these I got on Thrift Books, except for the last one. This one I probably could have had a little lower on the list, but man, this is one too that sort of like took me back a bit, and I decided to put it higher. And this is Pin, Andrew Niederman. This is a fun ass book. It's about a guy and a girl, about a brother and a sister whose parents are gone, and they have this house, and the brother has a lot of social awkwardness, and they believe this medical doll, which you can see right there, is alive. So the girl kind of grows out of it, and she gets in a relationship with this guy, and she's starting to become normal. And the brother in Pin himself, who the brother thinks he hears talking to him, are not on board with the new boyfriend. So things go from there. The movie's cool too. This came out in the 80s, but this was like a fun, sort of psychological based kind of, somewhat of a thriller, but mostly a psychological kind of study of this kid, really. And it's definitely a horror book. I hate it when people are like, well, it's more psychological study than a horror movie. Well, it could be both, because I heard somebody saying that about Christmas Evil. It's a psychological study. It's like it could be both. You don't have to fucking, like, not everything has to be nice and tidy. It could fit multiple formats. So, yeah, this is a gem of a book. This came out, Andrew Niederman. This came out in... I wanted to tell you the years on these ones. 1981. So, yeah, this one's good. It's good, short, 200-page read. I just thought, 260 pages. But it's like you could read it in a few nights if you got nothing else to do. Or if you're a fast reader, maybe you read it in a night. I thought this is fantastic. So. I'm just got to keep an eye on my time because I got a 4 o'clock session. Blood Secrets. This is Craig Jones. This really surprised me. Now, I picked this book up from a bookstore when I was in Michigan, and it was like all these books were half off the price. So this one came out in 1978. But the price on it was, what's the price on this book? So it's half off the listed price. So the price at the time on this was $2.25. So I got this for basically $1. And it's part of a Book of the Month Club thing. And I was really surprised how good this book is. A really excellent little fucking read here. And it's so interesting. Sorry about that. But this is such an interesting book for the time it takes. This guy puts a lot of detail in this relationship between this eccentric professor and this woman who is kind of more like, uh, uh, I don't know, she's really outgoing and sarcastic and really pretty, but she falls in love with this guy who's more kind of eccentric and an outsider, and then they raise this daughter, and he becomes more like involved in politics, and the daughter is a hellraiser, and so. But the interesting thing about this is the daughter starts turning on him, not the mom, like you would think. She turns on the mom earlier in the book, and then later on she does not. And his family, who he hates in this, is finally disclosed why he hates them, and it's got obviously some fucked up. You could probably guess that it's going to be deviant and nasty in nature, and it is. The reveal is not as good to me as like so much as like how he just takes his time and building this relationship. And this is like a 220 page book, but he really takes his time developing the foundation of the family with the relationship with the wife and husband, and then the daughter, and talking about their family dynamics. It's so interesting that a book like this that would spend most of its time on trying to get the plot device, trying to make the reveal, trying to make it like building up to the reveal and making it try to be more suspenseful, and he doesn't really do that in this. I mean, there is moments of suspense in this, but it's not really like that in a sense. And the wife in here ends up getting she ends up, I think, shooting somebody, and she's on trial for murder. And did she actually commit the crime? And all this stuff is actually part of the subplot in this. So there's got some legal suspense stuff, but the time, like I said, that he spends building up this family dynamic, it's really interesting. It feels so real to me when I'm reading this. Like I could see the family almost. It's so well detailed. So Blood Secrets, check this guy out, Craig Jones. I think he was a writer, a playwright. I think he taught English too. But yeah, I would definitely look for more of his books. All right, that's is that number 5? Yeah, that's number 5. No, that's number 6. Number 6 is Blood Secret. All right, we're getting to the nitty and gritty, and I was going to flip 5 and 4, but I think I'm going to have on 5, I'm going to have Story of the Eye, George Patel. This is batshit. This is what they call, what Susan Sontag called pornography is art. And this is porn. This is straight up fucking pornography. But it's written almost in a way where it's got an avant-garde sort of artistic sensibility to it. This book is batshit. And the thing is, this thing was written back in the fucking, oh God. Originally published in France in 1928 and then translated in English in 1977. Jean-Paul Sartre was a big fan of this guy. And Jean-Paul Sartre thought, the playwright and the writer thought, that this guy was trying to destroy literature with graphic sexuality. And it's an interesting idea. I like the idea of that. I don't know if I agree and think that's the truth. I'm not sure what I think about that. I'd have to simmer on that. But this has got the leads in this are this guy and this girl, and they fuck all the time, and it's like he's like eating her asshole out, and it's just so graphic. And they find this other girl, and they bring her into their little threesome, and then the girl ends up, I think, I don't remember what happened. I'm not going to say too much about it, but they end up going overseas, and the debauchery gets worse. There's sexual exhibitionism gets way worse, and there's some fucking violence in this. George Patel, this is excellent. I remember like fucking, I was like 1928 and they wrote this kind of shit. This is awesome. And this defends like sort of the transgressive, and other people always fucking throwing that word around. This kind of defends that, because is there art to writing with such extremity and graphic sexuality? And I think there is. There, you know, that it's always going to be dependent on the person and what moral high ground they have. I mean, there's some people who take the moral high grade because they're afraid to fucking say they like this shit. I like this shit. So if people are gonna say, "Oh, you're fucking whatever, you monster, whatever," I don't give a fuck what they think. Like, I like it. I'm not gonna fucking shoo away from it or try to make myself look, separate myself from it. Like, I see videos of people that do these kind of books, and then they kind of cast it out, and they're like, "Oh no, it's I don't agree with it. It's too much." And it's like, then why the fuck are you reviewing it? Seriously, if you're gonna review this shit, you should be championing it, not fucking. Oh, I like it, but I don't like it from a distance, and that kind of shit. That's a bunch of fucking wimps, is what it is. Okay, 4 left. That was number 5, George Patel's Story of the Eye. Number 4, Heather Lewis's Notice. And this is a dandy. This came out in 95. Her debut novel, House Rules, came out in 94. Let me see, when did this come out? 2004. My bad. Or at least it was copyrighted in 2004. Heather Lewis, a little background on her. She was a writer who had a lot of mental health problems. She was in hospitalized a bunch of times. She had a professor who believed in her work, and then she had, but had no luck getting her stuff published. I don't know if it was published while she was alive. She ended up committing suicide. And the shame is sort of with this book, another transgressive book. The shame is you could kind of see this girl's talent. It kind of comes out, and there's like no pussyfooting with her, like how she describes things. And this book is basically about a girl who's a prostitute, and she's like in her 13, 14, 15. She's very, very young, and she ends up staying with this family, and then gets hospitalized and goes in a psychiatric hospital. And the family's like, she's having sex with the mom, and when she gets in the hospital, she starts fucking a therapist, and she's thinking she's bigger than she is, and she ends up getting herself mixed up with some of these guys, and hence the gun. And I'll say no more about it than that. You could probably put 2 and 2 together. And so it's like she's had a lot of trauma, raped, beat up, and she's just a thumper, man. She just kind of gets through all this shit. And what I really like about this is like Heather Lewis is basically saying, "Oh, you're not going to be redeemed, but there's going to be another day. You're going to have another day to figure it out, or just get by, or whatever. The hope is in another day." And I wonder if she told herself that multiple times. I don't really know. But she is an absolutely fantastic writer. I let somebody else borrow this, and they were not impressed with this book at all. And I absolutely am impressed with this. I was reading The House Rules, which I didn't like as much as this. This gripped me from beginning to end. If you want like real rich prose and like this ain't your fucking thing. This is graphic, straight, kind of more psychological, and you're in this girl's head the whole fucking time, kind of storytelling. And that's the kind I actually probably like a little bit more. There's no pussyfooting around in this, and I kind of like people that write like that, and they're not fucking worried about wordplay. They're just getting out their feelings and stuff like that. And I think she did do that in this book. And quite a talent, Heather Lewis. She wrote another book I want to read too. She only wrote 3 books, and I don't know if any of them were published when she was alive or not. I can't remember, but thank God for this professor who really encouraged her to continue to write. Because without him, who knows if this would have been around or not. I'd like to think so. Top 3 now. This is number 3. I probably fucked up the order on this. Case Against Satan, Ray Russell. This is a fucking great read off the Penguin. This is an absolute great read by Ray Russell. The King of Sleaze, sort of. He wrote some other books too, uh, but this is absolutely fantastic. So this is the precursor, literally wise, to The Exorcist, where this girl gets possessed by a demon. But what's really interesting about this is you're reading it and you're like, okay, so she gets possessed, she curses and stuff. She's a sweet girl, but her mom dies, and her dad is kind of a shady character, and I'll leave it at that. And they kind of reveal, like, I think he ends up getting killed, and they kind of reveal the reasons why. And it's more like kind of a mystery, a murder mystery maybe, than it is a demonic possession thing. And I'm probably going to be casted out for saying this, but I'll say it anyways. I enjoyed this a lot more than reading The Exorcist. I thought this was way, way more interesting because the demonic stuff, even Ray Russell knew, like, you're only going to take it so far. Like, she's already cursing, right? And they already do, like, the exorcism on her and all that stuff. So he's not dragging that shit out. Now, do I love The Exorcist by Blatty? Absolutely. I think it's fucking wonderful. But this, I think I appreciate a little bit more because he uses a lot more restraint. And he doesn't take a lot of time in this studying if this is... There is a pastor in here who doesn't believe in God, which is kind of... Or doesn't believe in the devil. Yeah, it might be that he doesn't believe in the devil, but he believes in God or something like that. And so there's some interesting good versus evil kind of stuff in there, but it's not the context of the story. It's really this girl in a relationship with her dad and the deadly family secret. And it's an absolutely wonderful short read. And this came out, I want to say, was published in the 50s. Yeah, it's 140 pages on the Great Penguin label. And yeah, I absolutely fucking dig this. Let's see. 1964 it came out. I think it's 1964, 1963 this came out. A wonderful book by Ray Russell. So the case against Satan. Yeah, this one is super good. This one stayed with me. Now, if I would have had Elementary Particles with me by the great Michel Houellebecq or whatever his fucking name is, he would have been at number 2. I can't find it. So I'm going to put this at number 2, which originally was my number 2 book. Now, this book is part of the Paperbacks from Hell series, and for a long time, this book, the old published version, was not available. So this is available for the first time on paperback in a long time, and it's Let's Go Play at the Adams by Mendel Johnson. The only book he ever published. He wrote a lot of books, but none of them got published. This was the one that he wrote that did. So, always on the list of disturbing books, transgressive fiction, that kind of shit. This is about a girl who gets, a babysitter who gets tied up and tortured by the kids who are babysitting her and the neighbor kids. So if you read The Girl Next Door, you kind of have an idea. Jack Ketchum, you have an idea. This was written, I think, in the early 70s. I don't know when this was originally published. You're going to have to make me look, huh? 1974. This was originally released in 74. And this has always been, like I said, on that list of most disgusting or just controversial books. And so they kidnap this girl, and first of all, they tie her up and they think it's fun. And then they not sure what to do with her, and then they realize they have to kill her. And the girl, what's so interesting about the way Mendel Johnson writes her is she's kind of stupid and she's kind of aloof. And it's really like interesting that she kind of becomes self-actualized throughout the process. She's like a cheerleader, like the total ditz. But there's something that happens throughout the process of being, knowing her life is in danger, and I won't say any more than that. There's like a sort of like in Martyrs where they use like death and violence as some sort of transcendental, like philosophical aware, like thing, you know, catharsis or awareness or some sort of event, and they use, and when she starts questioning her own death, there's a depth to this book that it surprisingly, and it's very touching in a way. When I read this book, I like, when I put it down, I had to go back and read that last two two paragraphs or 2 pages because it just really touched me in a way. So this is wonderful. Let's Go Play at the Adams, and this would have been my number one easily if it wasn't for this fucking book. And this was the first book I read all year. And you know when you read something and then you're like, oh, this is the best book I'm going to read this year, and I'm not going to read anything better. And so that's where I was at with this book. My brother got this for me for my Christmas last year. Thank you, Brian. And yeah, it's Blood Meridian, Cormac McCarthy. Number one with a bullet. Like I said, I read this probably, I got it for Christmas, read it like probably right afterwards. And I've read some other, I think I read The Road before that. Maybe I think that might have been the only thing I read by McCarthy before that. And I read this and it was absolutely amazing. And it's really one of those books that has kind of biblical references, but it's this kid who it takes place like in the Texas-Mexico border, and this kid stumbles across this. He's like a kid from Tennessee, and he stumbles across this like horrible world where there's scalping, murder, death, and there's lots of death in this, baby death in this, even. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but there's lots of dead bodies, very graphic violence, and this kid kind of becomes a man in this, but he's searching this, what's called the judge, and the judge is supposedly, for some people that get really into this, like the judge represents blah 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 blah, like that kind of shit. The judge, what's his name in this? God, I'm so bad with names. Judge Holden, yeah, I think that's his name. The judge is the devil, maybe, biblically. It's kind of interesting in that way. There's a lot of biblical references in this, and so hence, therefore, sort of the magic of this book that has a lot of depth and is saying a lot about hell on earth and or lack of God, which is kind of a common denominator in some of McCarthy's books, the lack of God. And this, is it Judge Holden? I think it is. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. I always forget characters' names and shit. But yeah, I was reading this and I was just totally blown away. I've read books that have had violence before, but nothing continuously, every page or every other page, stacks of dead bodies, somebody getting murdered, like just brutal. And this was written originally in 1985. Such a miracle year. But I am going to go ahead and read the last paragraph of this, and this last paragraph made me want more. I was like, shit, it's the end of the book. He wafts his hat, and the lunar dome of his skull passes palely under the lamps, and he swings about and he takes possession of one of the fiddles, and he pirouettes and makes a pass, 2 passes, dancing and fiddling at once. His feet are light and nimble. He never sleeps. He says that he'll never die. He dances in light and in shadow, and he's a great favorite. He never sleeps, the judge. He's dancing. He says that he'll never die. And that's the end of the book. That's the last passage in the book. 349 pages of some excellence here. And the judge is completely unforgettable character in this. I think about the judge like all the time. And I've talked to my brother about this book more times than not. It's just an incredible read from beginning to end. If you're into violence, like reading about violence, this is your book. If you can't stomach a lot of physical, well, I guess would be acts of depravity, this ain't gonna be for you. If you like a book that has a deeper meaning, you can see through the violence, which is kind of where I'm at with this book has that too. The great Cormac McCarthy, this is one of the great books I've ever read. Definitely my top 5 reads of all time for sure. I was absolutely stunned at how wonderful this book was. I mean, I read it. It was kind of like when I was talking earlier about Siskel and Ebert reviewing. They were reviewing Fargo, and it came out early that year, and they said it's the best picture this year. And then there wasn't going to be a better picture than that, and it came out in the spring or whatever. And this is very similar, like maybe summer or winter. I don't remember when it came out, but this is the same thing for me for effect wise. I read this at the beginning of the year. It was like into January, after the holidays, and I kind of just gulped it in. And I was like saying to myself, I'm not going to read a better book this year, and I didn't. And it wasn't because the other ones didn't live up to the potential, but there just wasn't a better fucking book than this. So, Blood Meridian #1 by Cormac McCarthy. So I'm going to go through the top 10 real quick with you, and then I'm going to get off the camera. #1, Blood Meridian, Cormac McCarthy. I'm going to count back to 10. #2, Ray Russell, The Case Against Satan. No, wait. That was not #2. #2 was Let's Go Play at the Adams by Mendel Johnson. Okay. #3, The Case Against Satan, Ray Russell. Great book. #4, Notice, Heather Lewis. #5, Story of the Eye, George Patel. #6, Blood Secrets, Craig Jones. I think I got this right. I hope I got this right. #7, Andrew Niederman, Pin. #8, Onto the Altar, the great John Teagues. 9, I have some great fucking fucked up shit here. Frisk, Dennis Cooper. Got my top 10. I was like thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know if I want this in there, and I put it in there, god damn it. And a tie for 10, Sarah, the great J.T. Leroy. This is a fun book. And The Doll Who Ate His Mother, the first book by Ramsey Campbell. So that is it for my top 10 reads of the year. No real new ones. The newest one I have, I think, is Come Closer by Sarah Gran. Is that her name, Gran? This one right here. And my honorable mentions. But that's it. I gotta go. I gotta get off the phone. Or off the camera. I got a session I gotta do. But I'll talk to you guys soon. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to y'all. Keep reading.